cars making their way to the grid for the second of the 3 races at Rockingham this weekend. First, though, let's have a quick look back at what happened in race 1. Pole position to Gary Sims. He made the best of starts in the Least Drive car despite opposition from Mike Robinson, who tried to go round the outside of him at the Dean hairpin. As ever, there was loads of drama right the way around the lap, but Huyton made a mistake at the Dean hairpin, ran wide, let Robinson through to second place and lost yet more ground as he recovered. Clive Richards got involved in contact, that gave him a spin and he had to sit tight as everybody dived past him left and right. In his recovery, Huyton worked away past Brad Bailey as they wriggled their way to the top of the circuit. Huyton was on the charge. Will Burns was assaulted by Luke Davenport, 2 more damaged cars and then more drama. JJ O'Malley spun, then Constant Duras went off in avoidance. Mike Robinson was under pressure from Sean Huyton as the championship leader worked away through at the Tarzan hairpin, but he couldn't get onto terms with Gary Sims, who took a first ever win in the G40, taking victory in fine style. Brian Murphy was the cream of the bunch in the G20 class as he came through for victory, well clear of the class opposition. Up to the grid come the cars for race 2 of the weekend. It's Mike Robinson on pole position this time around, and with him at the front of the grid, the race 1 winner, Gary Sims. Andy O'Brien in trouble though. His car has ground to a halt. He should be on the 3rd row of the grid. You can see the gap there. Andy O'Brien being pushed back to the pit lane as the lights go out. Really good start by Clive Richards from the 2nd row. Slow start by Thiago Calvert. Great start also by Gary Sims. And it's Sims who leads Richards as they head towards turn 1 for the first time. Up the inside comes Mike Robinson, recovering well. He's got past Richards, he's about to get past Sims as well. The two of them absolutely wheel to wheel on the way to the Dean hairpin. Pale blue and black, the livery for Mike Robinson. White over blue, Gary Sims on the outside line, but it's going to be Robinson who leads as they dive into the hairpin. Clive Richards tries to muscle his way up on the inside line as well there. The cars out of Dean for the first time. Down they go towards Yentwood. You've got just in the lead of the race Mike Robinson, but Gary Sims is right on his tail. A bit of bumping and barging lower down in the pack, but everybody, at least for now, survives. So Robinson it is ahead of Sims. Richards is 3rd, Sean Huyton 4th, and there look, Will Burns in the HHC Motorsport car goes ahead of Brad Bailey. Bailey going really well around here. He's raced at Rockingham in his Ginetta Junior days, and this is a circuit he knows pretty well, albeit not this next section, which he's reused this year, not been used on the F3 GT package circuit for quite a long time on the international sports car circuit. But Brad Bailey is going well, and he's going to be up there with the race leaders, I think, before much longer. You're looking back now from Ryan Ratcliffe's car, working his way down towards Gracelands for the first time. The Owen Tools car behind him, that of Diego Guggiari, trying to gain ground. Huyton in the black car to the inside of Clive Richards at the Tarzan hairpin, and he gains a place. Thiago Calvert, the Brazilian, much travelled Brazilian, he's right there behind. He's alongside Richards. There was a spin as well going through the hairpin. It looked like it might have been Will Burns. It isn't, it's Brad Bailey, in fact. The orange car with the checkered roof, Brad Bailey, former junior rallycrosser. His dad, Paul Bailey, a very successful rallycrosser decades ago. The leaders are at the end of lap 1, working their way up towards the line. You're on board with Clive Richards to have a look at what happened on the opening lap of the race. Down towards the hairpin he comes. Looks to the inside line, but he can't defend. Sean Huyton goes through, just finds enough room and picks up 3rd place. Brad Bailey has rejoined, albeit as far as the pit lane. Back on board with Richards. That's the black car of Sean Huyton ahead of him. And Richards now tries to fight back, but he's also under pressure. Through goes Calvert. Really good move, that. Thiago Calvert dives through on the inside of Yentwood, and Clive Richards gets forced out wide all over the curb. Rattles his way back onto the circuit, his visor drops down and he carries on under pressure now from Will Burns. Look at Burns' car, you'll notice it's not just orange anymore. Got a red front because of the damage done yesterday. So what was a very smart all-orange car, now two-tone in its livery. But at least Charlie Kemp's team has got it on the grid, ready for this 2nd race of the weekend. Mike Robinson there, ahead of Gary Sims, ahead of Sean Huyton. They're working their way down through Gracelands, up towards the Tarzan hairpin, and it looks as though, up front, Mike Robinson might just be able to build a lead here. Gary Sims for Optimum Motorsport in the Least Drive car, coming under pressure from Sean Huyton. Huyton's Academy Motorsport car is right there on the back of the blue and white car of Sims, but Mike Robinson, possibly now to benefit a little bit from all of this, he might just be able to extend that gap now while they're squabbling behind him. 3 wide, look lower down the order, heading towards Brook, and somebody there, Rick Parfitt I think it is, with the bonnet flapping up as he brakes. It drops down, but when the air gets under that, it's going to lift it away from the car and therefore obscure his view, and Rick Parfitt heads for the pit lane to try and get some gaffer tape on that and get it stuck down so he can carry on in the race. For 2nd place, it's Sims versus Huyton. Sean Huyton to the outside line. The Academy Motorsport car still can't quite find a way past the Optimum Motorsport run car, but while they're squabbling, this is playing right into the hands of the leader, Mike Robinson. He is getting away now. He is building a small lead. Mike was very unlucky not to win at Alton Park. In every race he was quick, in every race he was on the back of Heighton, the winner. Now he's leading as his teammate Graham Johnson sorts himself out after a spin at the Dean Hairpin. And by the look of the witness marks on the number panel, he didn't do that on his own. Yes, yellow car flees scene of crime. More spinners as they arrive. Stuart Pearson there, reigning G20 champion, getting it all wrong. So, yes, Graham Johnson was given a bit of a helping hand into that. Meantime, Gary Sims has caught back up to the race leader. He challenges at Dean. He goes for a gap that's just about there. There's a bit of rubbing, but Sims goes through. It's knocked his mirror aside, but that doesn't really faze him too much. Heighton goes wide, and he loses out to Thiago Calvert. Great stuff. A change for the lead and a change for third. Clive Richards fifth, recovering after losing ground early on. He is getting back now with this leading quartet. A quarrelsome quartet, holding itself up now by all the drivers involved, trying to trade places. Gary Sims up front. Can he go for a second win of the weekend now? Mike Robinson wants the place back, and he's all over the back of Sims like the proverbial rash. Goes to the inside, and he's got the gap. He's got the lead as well as they come down onto the straight. There's more leading, and Gary Sims gets forced wide over the curb and onto the grass. Momentum interrupted. Calvert goes past him. Heighton goes past him as well. From first to fourth in one fell swoop. Sims got rather mugged on the outside line there. Now, can he fight back before Clive Richards takes a pop at him? Down to Tarzan they come. Sean Heighton in the black car goes for second place. The man from Ormskirk picks up second spot. It's Ormskirk versus Brazil here. Thiago Calvert, the Brazilian, goes a bit wide, loses third place, and he's got his teammate Gary Sims right up behind him now. On board with Clive Richards here. Down a gear, heading towards Brook. Calvert to the inside of Heighton, can't find a way through. Gary Sims under more and more pressure now. Clive Richards right on his tail as they work their way out of turn 4 onto the banking, and now over the start and finish line. Grab a gear, lining up for turn 1, and Clive Richards not really benefiting from the usual slipstream effect that's on hand on the run from turn 1 up to the Dean Hairpin. Matt Nicol-Jones returning to G20s, taking over the car he prepares for Mark Warnier for the weekend, and as you might expect, Matt Nicol-Jones absolutely flying. Still a much underrated talent. It's a great shame he hasn't got the budget to move on up into full-time GT racing, because whenever you put Matt into a car, he always makes it go very, very well indeed. This is the race lead battle. It's hotting up nicely, look, as Sean Heighton gets tagged by Thiago Calvert, and they both spin. Through goes Sims, through goes Richards, and Sean Heighton gets turned around, and Thiago Calvert spins himself. There's quite a lot of damage, look, to the front of the Brazilian's car. Here is the replay. He switches sides at the last moment. He's not fully alongside. Heighton turns into the corner, gets turned around, and Calvert spins as well. They'll both be able to rejoin, but now Sean Heighton's going to be a long, long way down the order. Can Calvert get going as well? That's the next question. As up to the line, it's going to be a first win of the season for Mike Robinson. He comes across the line now to take the checker flag. Robinson wins, and Will Burns spins himself out of contention right ahead of Sean Heighton on the last lap. Gary Sims takes second, and Sean Heighton here is going to be fifth as he crosses the line. And in fact, it's a similar situation, look. Sean Heighton gets hit, and then hits Will Burns, a bit like Thiago Calvert. On the last lap, Sean Heighton's become a magnet. He gets hit by Burns, and then as he straightens himself out, he clips the H8C car and turns that one around. Matt Nicol-Jones on target for a win in the G20 class. Here he comes, out of turn 4, up towards the line. Been a lively race, and it's all kicked off on the last lap, especially for Sean Heighton. Matt Nicol-Jones comes through then to win the G20 class. Overall, it's Robinson ahead of Sims from Richards from Ratcliffe. It's a very different order at the end compared to the start of the last lap. And Matt Flowers is the man who chases home Matt Nicol-Jones in the G20 class.